So it sounds like you've watched both serious and funny anime so far. So did you like One Punch Man?
I liked it in the sense I feel like it's hard to watch One Punch Man as someone who hasn't watched a ton of anime. I think that's meant for someone who's watched so much that they're like, I understand all these tropes.
Yes.
So I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that went over my head with One Punch Man, but I feel like I enjoyed the lampooning a little bit. I enjoyed some of the comedy.
Okay.
But generally, I think with my anime and my TV, I'm a very I want the most drama-iest of dramas. I want to watch like The Wire and Oz and Breaking Bad.
Okay.
I like Death Note more than the other stuff.
There's a new one that has I think is a kind of interesting concept, kind of called like Finding Neverland. There's only one season.
The Michael Jackson documentary?
No, it's not Finding Neverland. Damn. What was it? It's something like that. Some anime. It's about an orphanage. Kids in an orphanage.
The Promised Neverland.
The Promised Neverland.
Okay.
That's what it was.
I think Finding Neverland is something that's very, very, very incredibly different.
So they did an anime about Michael Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, how else can you capture someone dancing so incredibly smoothly? And plus, anime loves small kids crying, right?
That is true. That is true. Man. That is honestly my biggest problem that I have with anime is the there is a specific term for this.
I thought you were gonna say my biggest problem with Michael Jackson.
It's just like the kids, you know. It's a damn kid. Just leave the kids alone. So there's a term that is not. Oh God, I'm gonna make some anime fans real mad at me.
I can just edit it. We can just pedophilia. The right word.
It's not pedophilia, but it's the like adolescent, like the 10 to 13-year-old version.
I know what that word is. Fuck. Shit. I'm gonna put in like Jeopardy music here, or I'll just smash cut to saying the right word and sounding right. Anime were not pedophilia, but when you like them a little older.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Google search history is not good.
Hebophilia? No.
That could be it. Yeah.
Hebophilia? These don't feel right.
Third one might be it.
Hebophilia is a strong, persistent sexual interest in adults in pubescent early adolescent children, showing extreme too. So typically ages 11 to 14.
Okay, so that is exactly what it is.
Okay, so there's three. So it's pedophilia cuts off at like 11, then hebophilia cuts off at 14, and then ephebophilia is like 19, is 15 to 19. So there's three different buckets you can go into.
Well, needless to say, is that. Hebophilia would be what is referred to as like lolly and that sort of thing. 12-year-old girl is actually a 200-year-old demon or some shit. Like there's way too many anime stories that are based around the 12 to 14-year-old child, and it just bothers me. I love a good coming of age story. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, man, Boyhood, great movie, right?
But there's just it's a persistent thing. I just want one of these animes to be like, you know what? Our main character is not going to be 14 years old or 12 years old. It's going to be a 24-year-old.
Yeah, you'd think that people have like also grown up with anime. Yeah, people they'd want to start watching the same. Anime's of age now, right?
Yeah,
where older people who are like in their 30s and 40s grew up watching it, just like video games.
Yeah.
So where you think that we don't need that same stuff?
Even the more adult anime, it's like somehow the main character is 14, and you're just like, what?
Yeah, that's right. Why is Death Note about basically like a high school / college student when he could have been any
There
age?
is some crazy obsession with high school, and I just don't know what it is.
It might be just a cultural thing we don't get.
It is. It's something cultural there that is just like an obsession that every character is high school age or middle school age.
Yeah,
but
that's right. I think every anime I've watched has been young kids.
Anyway, now that we've pissed off every anime fan in the world,
it's okay. Now we can actually talk truthfully about what we wanted to because they've exited the podcast. Man, I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna edit that together because I think I hit record like in the middle of a sentence. So I'm gonna find a part.
I'm not sure if any of that's usable or not.
It genuinely might all go away.
But again, I like a good anime.
Can I do a hard transition into something more related, maybe?
Yes, if you close out hebephilia, because I'm going to keep looking at that the entire time on that Wikipedia page.
Now I can't edit out the earlier part because that's going to make no sense too. How did Arteezy get on the podcast?
Oh yeah. All you guys who tuned in for the Arteezy and Blitz podcast.
There's another Reddit thread right now. Someone made like a third one with the same video.
Well, that was one of our alt accounts. Somebody's on to us.
Can't talk about that.
Somebody put it in the comments.
Someone's gonna think you're being serious. And I have
social media prowess or something like that.
I have to know. I have to let people know that you're making a joke right now.
This is a joke, guys. Like if I care enough about a pod, like I honestly was gonna put part 2 on Reddit at some point in time, and then it showed up on Reddit anyway. So I was like, there's a
certain like vindication about that when someone else finally starts to share the stuff you make, where like it's like, oh, it like I feel good that someone else felt like they think they can get karma off of it, so they're gonna do it, right?
Yeah. Honestly, I apologize to all of you guys that I said no Reddit rule. Like I didn't really mean that. What I meant was please don't just put in the title the really of like Cap says he hates ESL or something like that. Like that's all I want. But please post the podcast on Reddit as much as possible. Thank you. As someone whose content does not show up on Reddit very often, it is very much appreciated when it does. I like that.
Thank you. But how the fuck did he go on the show?
Okay, so he ended up on the show. So all of you guys are going to be disappointed if you tuned in for the last 2 episodes. You're like, oh, this show is great. They've got good professional players on that I never get to hear of. And now it's back to me and Leaf Eater.
We're back to like being the C team. You can't get much higher than like Arteezy in terms of like.
Arteezy's never been on a podcast.
Yeah,
He's never been on a podcast. So
yeah, like
I don't know how to beat that.
Yeah, you can't. Like, maybe you call up like Gabe and be like, "Hey, hey Gabe, I got an idea." Or Ice Frog.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Too good, Bruno.
Anyway,
maybe.
Ice Frog would be the creme de la creme, and that's it.
Yeah,
I'll ask him someday.
Kuroki would probably pull pretty well too.
I've got his contact somewhere. I'll hit him up. I was like, "Hey, would you want to be on my podcast?" I promise I won't post it on Reddit.
I'm thinking that like having Arteezy on might be good for like other people who feel like, maybe they were like, oh, this is like a silly thing that's going to stop and not be real. Or like, oh, I don't want to do a podcast. But if Arteezy did it, I feel like it gives him more clout to be like, yo, no tell, homie.
Yes.
You want to...
That is exactly the way I feel about it. Like as soon as Arteezy was on the podcast and we were able to show that Arteezy was on the podcast, like now, like every event, I'm gonna be able to talk to one of my friends that are pro players or I'm friendly with, and be able to convince them more with, yo, Arteezy was on. Like he enjoyed himself.
If he did it.
It's like, not like. Like I'm not like interviewing you really. We're just sitting down and having a casual conversation. There's nothing. I'm not gonna grill you about Dota.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna get I thought it was gonna be Kyle. I think that's what you told me at first, and then you sent me like an audio file, and with whatever the time change was, I think I was like maybe like half stoned at 3 a.m, and I'm like, and I get an audio file. You're like, I don't know how to send this. It's really big, but Arteezy to the podcast. I'm gonna go to bed now, and I'm like. Arteezy to the podcast?
Yes, it was going to be Blitz and Kyle. And then Kyle, who's doing content creation and doing Kyle things. Kyle, I love Kyle. He is a networker like none other, man.
That's good.
He wants to go out and he wants to like meet people and rub elbows and stuff. And it's great for him. Like I wish I was more that way because I can't really get myself to do that, especially at events. But so Kyle was so busy creating videos and stuff. And then on top of that was also at night, like going out with businessmen of esports.
You got to get the drinks. You got to talk to all those money launderers.
Exactly. So he was a bit too busy doing that, so he had to. He didn't ditch. I just kind of like didn't want to like force him to do it. Sort of deal. Because
that's the right move.
Because I mean, just real quickly, Kyle did a great job as a content creator, and I know he was very nervous about it. So I think he did a great job at that event, and you know, I didn't really want to like force him to do other stuff. Basically.
You're also cool too, Mally.
Mally also did an excellent job.
Because I know you're listening right now.
So it was supposed to be Blitz and Kyle, and then Kyle had some other stuff that he was doing, and so it was going to be me, Blitz plus one, and I asked him about Insania, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll hit him up." And because we're all kind of friends, we play Party Queue and stuff together. I really like Hayden a lot. So I thought it was going to be 3 of us. And then there was a knock on my door while I'm still trying to scramble together to set things up. And all of a sudden our tour walks in. And I was just like, oh, shit. And his manager, Franz. And I was just like, okay, yeah. I couldn't find the batteries for my audio recorder. I'm like looking all over the place and I can't find the SIM card or the batteries for it. And I only have the camera at that point in time. And I don't want to like reschedule. I know our tour is never going to come back. And
yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Getting our tour to do things is very difficult. Like he will have a good time once he's doing it, and he won't regret it afterwards. But like getting him to do it in the first place is very difficult, right? So I knew Blitz had to make effort to get him there in the first place. Like, so I just needed to record it and hope it worked, right? And fortunately, you saved the audio because it was not great on first listen, but
there's people who were like, oh, the audio's so bad. And I wish I know this is like kind of spiteful, and I am like a slightly spiteful person. I wish that I could have shared people the original audio to be like, we made it a lot better.
It was very quiet. It was very hard to hear anything. It was
good enough though. Like at the end of the day, like it was passable. People enjoyed it.
Yes.
You know, I got no complaints.
Yeah, honestly, I was very happy. Thank you to our tour, and of course, thank you to Blitz who really made that happen. I will get Kyle on for We Play. I'm hoping because we're going to be trapped up there on the mountains, and so at night, I don't think Kyle's going to go skiing or anything with any businessmen.
He might. You never know what happens.
I should be, and plus, I already hit up my other guest, which is going to be Rich. And of course, Rich, you know, he loves doing stuff like that, and he's totally down. And because Rich is there, I know Kyle will want to be there. Kyle loves Rich, so I know it's my trap card. I guarantee I'm gonna get the 2 of them together.
We eventually have to have Kyle do another show too, because I want to be there for one of them.
Yes,
so we can just really talk in person about how similar we look.
Yes, we will definitely get that as well. We'll have to make it happen for the LA major. But yeah,
exactly.
That's how I got our tour. It was entirely Blitz. I didn't do anything.
Blitz really is the hero.
Yeah.
Our tour gets all the glory and the headlines, but like he's the hero.
But Blitz said he settled his debts off of this, which I don't know if he's serious. Well, remember he was talking about how like Blitz always pays for stuff.
I thought you were talking about with you.
No. Like Blitz always pays for stuff for our tour because our tour has 1,000,001 excuses as to why he can't pay. So like he pays for a lot of stuff and it builds up. And so I know that bill is very large. So I hope he wasn't serious about selling that debt because that was a very expensive podcast then.
Is that and I'm not reimbursing you, Will. Sorry. Is that like a thing that happens when you like have so much money that you just like lose track of it and then it's just like it's
a Dota player thing. Like Dota players, like they grow up being a player, right? So they go from like not really paying a whole lot, like maybe they're in college at the time. Most of them haven't had like a real job to begin with. So sometimes, you know, they just don't have certain things like a credit card that they can use internationally and stuff like that. And if they do, then like a lot of times they just don't bring their wallet to places because it's like they're always with a manager, right? Their manager's always paying for everything that they do because that's on the team's expense. Right?
This seems crazy to me.
So yeah, like
this seems asinine.
That's just the player life is that you just don't really pay for anything, and so like you go out, like you don't have your wallet with you. So
maybe it's because I know some of the other side. I feel like if I'm in our tour's position, which is like a really weird like shoe to put myself in. I would want to be like, oh, I never used to have money. I'm paying for everyone all the time.
And to be fair, it's also intimidating. Like, yeah, okay, so if you think about it, right, if you've never like used your credit card online, right, you think about like all those like scams and stuff like that, like people are going to get your information, et cetera, et cetera.
The gas station.
Yeah, if you've never like ordered food online or something like that, like you might be a little bit timid about doing stuff like that and doing that sort of thing internationally. It's just like, it's one of those things where you do it and you're uncomfortable the first time you do it, and then all of a sudden you realize, oh, it's kind of okay, and then you just kind of go hog wild. But a lot of these players, they don't have to do that, right? Because they have a manager to do all that sort of thing. So, they're just uncomfortable.
I couldn't imagine the social pressure the other way too, of being like, hey, can you pay me back for that thing?
Yeah.
Because like, do you really want to like anger your friends like that?
Yeah. Lending money is always weird with friends, but fortunately Blitz is a very giving. Yeah, he's a very giving person, and he has like he has a lot of patience with people when it comes to that sort of thing. I would
have so many Venmo requests out.
Hitting up the millionaires for the $100 they owe you. Yeah,
I'd be like, you have the money, right? Yeah. Like you owe me for dinner. Yeah. It was a tip. I paid the tip. But that's
Blitz like pays for, like, for example, Blitz will cover so like our very close friendship pool between like me, Charlie, Blitz, and like Kyle and stuff is like, we have this philosophy that we'll just, when you go to a restaurant or something, like one of us will just cover it. And we all just kind of assume that like it's not going to be exact, but we're going to cover each other. Mm-hmm. And, it's like, it'll all go around. It's not a big deal. And that's a good philosophy to have. But as the group gets bigger and bigger, and then, then like some people just aren't paying ever or anything like that. Yeah. And, it starts becoming a problem.
I had a sour experience. I'm much more, I don't know what it is like that. I'm fine with that with certain people, but there's other people. I guess it's like the less well I know you. If we're not like splitting a bill, like if we go out to dinner and it's like a businessy thing or something, and we're going Dutch, we're splitting a check where like you had 3 drinks and I had a water and you ordered an appetizer that I might not have wanted, but we shared it anyways. Yeah. And then we just split the check in half. I'm like,
yeah. I think it helps that we all, like between me and Blitz and Charlie, I think we all have the philosophy that like, when you're in a relationship and like one of you makes a lot more money than the other or something?
No, but for the sake of argument, yes, I do.
Okay. So if you made 90%, like say you made 9 times the amount that she made, okay. Are you when you go out for a meal together, are you doing 50-50? Are you doing 100%? Or are you doing 90-10? I mean, put yourself in the idea that 9 times the amount of work is you making like $200,000, let's say.
Yeah.
So you've got the money to pay for this.
Yeah, I probably just pay for dinner. But I really hope that like 1 out of every 10 dinners they cover.
Yeah. Like that, I think that's pretty reasonable. And I think like we have the philosophy that it's like we are all pretty fortunate in our careers, and Blitz especially, I think, is he knows that like he's done very well for himself, and so he doesn't mind like covering for people. Yeah, so that's the kind of person he is. It's just like, again, very generous in that regard.
I really hope that I get to the point where I can do that for people.
Yeah,
because I like doing it on a small scale. So it's like a weird sense of joy. That's not like a It does provide a weird sense of joy. I understand like the enjoyment of
Blitz and Charlie have covered a lot of my dinners. So what I'm saying is that if I ever become a millionaire, like easily like. At least a tenth of that money is going to them, if not a lot more.
I really liked the show you guys did too.
It was great, right? Like you heard a lot of Arteezy's personality with it,
which I don't think you normally do. Just hearing stuff about like him talking about Thompson, him talking about like the cliffing meta, him talking about what he does and doesn't like about interviews. I feel like hopefully some people listen to that and realize like, oh, maybe like I can talk to these players differently, because maybe that's like cool insight for people to craft their own stuff for it. I enjoyed listening to it. I'm like, part of me was like, I wish I was there, but the other part of me is like, I feel like if I was there, Arteezy probably wouldn't have been as comfortable. So it's probably a great thing that I wasn't there.
No, I mean, that's like, I like to think that that is the kind of atmosphere that I'm shooting for when I get other people on, but the truth is, that's just what Blitz does. Like he's a very charismatic person. He's good friends with our tour, so he brings personality out of people.
I'm worried that Blitz's takeaway from that is that he's never going to have shoes on the couch again, because he was so publicly shamed for it. And knowing how he takes,
dude, it's a hotel couch. Like, why do you guys care? Like, what the? That's getting professionally cleaned.
I know.
Come on. Those are his gym shoes that he literally only wears indoors. Like, what do we care?
I know that he.
Are you a person? Wait, real quick. Sorry. Are you a person that takes their shoes off in the hotel room? Is that like a really big deal for you?
No, I do not take my shoes off in the hotel room.
Well, because hotel floors are dirty, right? They're kind of gross.
I generally am a shoes on all the time person.
Oh, you're one of those.
Which is my home, which we're in right now. Yes. We are not wearing shoes.
You guys have a very nice shoe rack.
I have a shoe rack by the door.
Yes.
But normally I'm a shoes on person in most other scenarios.
So I've always been a shoes off in house and stuff, but I do not worry about it so much in hotels, because hotel floors.
Hotel everything, man.
I mean, it's all nasty. The hotel floors especially. They're not changed. They're changing the sheets. They're not changing the floor. They're professionally cleaning it when they can. But I don't know if that last guy, flung. Dude, there's so many stories about like. I remember one time, like, Red Eye was saying that there was a giant blood stain on his floor in a hotel room. I don't know if that's real or not, but that's what he said anyway. And
I have a very vivid memory of going to CES one year, which is the big electronics trade show that they do in Vegas every January.
Okay.
I might have been a senior in high school, maybe a junior. It's like one of those 2 years. Mm-hmm. And we had a room at not a main hotel on the strip. It was an off the strip, like artsy hotel. I think it's actually called the Artisan.
Okay.
And we got there because at the time we weren't 21, so we needed rooms that you can get to when you're not 21. And as soon as we get in the room, I look at it has like this really obscure, weird painting on the wall that has the giantest fucking snot ball on it, like still probably warm. And I never have had like really bad, like I know hotels are dirty. I know a lot of people live there. I know they try very hard to clean them. I've never walked into places and been like, oh no. But ever since that, I feel like I've been traumatized in hotel rooms. Just assume that like, oh, this stuff happens all the time. They do a good job cleaning it, but there's human everywhere.
Yes. People get very liberal when they're like, well, this isn't my place, and then they just start
and you shit on the
shitting
floor.
On the floor, because they're like, I've never done that before. Let's do it in a hotel room.
But at least we've learned the one thing that the Dota community deems is remarkably important is to not have shoes in the hotel couch.
Shoes on couch, man.
Do not have a shoe.
Dude, they're famous all the time for like the summit and stuff, the nice BTS setup.
Yeah.
Put my shoes on the couch all day.
I do. So with that last show, we'll move on from this soon. But there is one thing that I wanted to chime in on.
Yes.
You guys were talking about Ramses in the VP documentary.
Yeah.
And I think that I took away something different from that documentary because, like, I think even like Arteezy or maybe even you said that it was kind of like almost a hit piece, or like it looked like it was really.
It looked like a hit piece.
It looked like a hit piece, right?
Yeah.
When I'm looking at that documentary, I almost think about it the opposite way. I don't think that they wanted to make something that put them in a bad light. So I'm under the assumption that everything we saw is the best parts. Like, so that's that's the usable footage they had. Okay. And we're missing everything else.
But then, but why were all the parts that they did show, all of them were bad for Ramses, the person that was not on VP anymore when that documentary.
They wouldn't have had any other footage.
Okay,
because they would have had no other footage. That's genuinely.
So Ramses was the best of everything. That's what you're saying in that. Okay, that's fine by me.
That's my producer hat that I'm wearing. I really think that was I think that who I do not envy the editor who had to cut that together, because I'm sure that was rough. But I'm glad to hear that he's working out in each.
Dude, true sites and stuff, when they give you the in-game comms, let me tell you guys, there's a reason there's never a live stream of in-game comms.
No one would have sponsorships anymore.
No one would have sponsorships anymore. It's all terrible, terrible language.
Some of them say bad things.
Some of them say very bad things that would...
Cancel culture, man.
Anyway. Yeah. So needless to say, I assume that the True Site editors have a lot of work they have to go through. My lord. There's a lot of words they've got to...
They know those things, yeah.
Like, that'd be an interesting bit, but he said that one word that's just not really gonna go well.
You can't really censor that out. You can't, you know what it is.
So shout out to those guys, because True Sight is so good.
Shout out to anyone who makes documentaries. Film's crazy, man. They have so much footage to work with. Yeah. If you've never been to like international, there is so much being recorded that you never see. They have 3 full film crews on the ground. They have feeds that are being recorded from every player cam in every booth, from all the static cams at the same time. Yeah. So that editor is going through like 30 angles oftentimes. They record so much. I'd love to just be able to look at their archive, because somewhere in that Valve office there's a disc or a server which has discs on it.
Just filled with the no words. You remember that? You remember that Reddit post of like someone who went through like a bunch of pro players like pub chat history and like all the no words that they say.
Is that around the same time?
No, I don't think anybody really got in trouble for that post. Because Mind Control, that was a specific, like, Mind Control himself got targeted. That was like, there was like 20 different people. And I know, like, Yawar's was, I think, the worst of all of them. And I know Yawar didn't really get in trouble, because the thing was is that everybody's was terrible. The best part was like S4 only flamed himself.
Yeah,
he only used derogatory words towards himself, So
it's interesting that when
but that post, just imagine that, but with video and 10 times worse.
Yeah, because then you have real proof of them actually saying the things, which feels worse than typing the things. I don't know, man. Pubs are better when I mute my teammates most of the time. That's my takeaway. Right?
I don't know. I just never seem to mute people. Very rarely do I mute people.
It's hard. I used to mute people who were shitty people, and then it was like a good precursor, because you get into a new game and you'd understand who was like shitty based on past games. But then once I started muting more people, it really took away that metric.
Oh, you know what? Actually, one of my best go-to mutes is when it happened recently. Some guy challenged me to a 1v1. Like, come on, guy. It's 2020. Who's challenging anyone to a 1v1? Jesus Christ. But the guy challenged me to a 1v1. And that was the moment I was like, okay, I muted him. And then I don't think I ever let him know that I muted him. And usually what I do in a 1v1 challenge, too, is I'll tell them at the end of the game, add me. Go set up the lobby or whatever. Like, go set up the lobby. I'll tell them, go set up the lobby with a password or whatever, and I'll join. And just to see them waste their time. Because who challenges people to a 1v1? Like, if you're dumb enough to challenge people to a 1v1, then you deserve every wasted minute.
I don't know how else I can prove to you that I am a better Dota player. That's the only thing. You are wrong. I am so right.
It was all 4 of the team members were trying to tell this like one guy what he was doing wrong, and like, please, you just need to do this one thing for us. Don't go this item build or whatever. And it's like 1v1B.
You're giving me a little bit of embarrassing PTSD that there was definitely like some old Counter-Strike 1v1s that happened.
I mean that's expected, because shooting people in the head, that's what everybody on the team is kind of supposed to do, Like there's the support role of Counter-Strike. I totally understand that, but no. Dota's just much different.
It doesn't translate the same. Your support Spirit Breaker shouldn't challenge you to a 1v1 when you don't have CS in mid. Yeah. Like, oh, I guess we have different skill sets, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Mute your teammates. Don't say bad words. That's the point of that. Don't say bad words.
Yeah.
I don't know anymore, man. We passed 10 shows.
We did.
Which I feel kind of proud about.
I mean, if we had a part 1, part 2, right? So if we don't have that, then this would be our 10th recording?
It would be show number 11.
Oh, okay.
It would be show number 11.
We're definitely over 10.
I know. We didn't get the time to say, like, I feel like that's like a milestone. Like, that makes it a real thing. There's still some people who are like, it's gonna stop. But, like, I feel once we did that, and also we broached like 10,000 downloads on iTunes.
Nice.
Which I realize, like,
I don't know what that means.
Right? Right? Like, what does that really mean? Like, out of context, like, do you compare that to other people?
Yeah.
Did I just say something that, like, Zyori is going to be like, oh, they did what? And now, like, they can compare numbers again. Like, I probably shouldn't share that. I don't know. But, like, there was just something. It feels like, you know, we made it through. We made it through the end of the year. We, like, hit some milestones, and I was kind of happy about them.
Well,
like,
it's slightly off topic, but you said maybe I shouldn't say that. And I immediately thought I got the bounty board recently on Twitch where they pay you to play a certain game. Mm-hmm. And of course I will never do that because there's no bounty for Dota 2. And so I like showed it on stream and I was like, yo guys, you want to play some Sea of Thieves or whatever? And I was like, wait, I don't know if I'm supposed to show this. And I immediately get a message from Conrad. He's like, yeah, you're not supposed to show that. I was like, oh, Jesus. They gave me this nice thing, and then I clowned on it, and then also we like showed it on stream when I wasn't supposed to.
That's really, I feel like that could have been a clip that someone would have taken out of context. That could have been interesting for other people. I'm surprised that almost didn't go viral if people aren't supposed to do that.
I've seen
delete the VOD.
When bounty boards first came out, there was a couple streamers who like leaked it. So
okay.
I'm not the first person to do it. That's for sure.
I like the idea of Conrad just being like, excuse me, the cap. Hey, buddy.
Like, I love that Conrad just happened to be in the chat when I did that too. I was just like, oh, that was dumb.
I had dinner with Conrad. He told me he doesn't listen to podcasts, so we're safe. We can talk as much shit as we want about him. He won't.
He doesn't listen to our podcast?
He doesn't listen to our show.
What the hell?
He doesn't listen to podcasts, period. So if we want to be like, yeah, okay, fuck you, fine. Conrad. Vancouver sucks. He'll never hear it. That's a joke for literally one person. I should stop doing the show for one person. We should get back to the everyone thing. Man, what do you do for the holidays?
What did I do for the holidays?
Because your family's not here.
So I was at Singapore. And then I flew back from Singapore into LA. And then about 18 hours later, after like a 24-hour flight or whatever, about 18 hours later, I flew to my mom's in Portland, Oregon. She has a house on a river that she got recently, and
that
we
tweet
spent
makes
Christmas
a lot more
there.
sense.
Yes, that's why every single time you'll see in the winter and the summer, I'll just be posting pictures of a river all the time. It's so peaceful. I love being by the river. I love being by water in general. If commentating could actually pay me some real big bucks, I would love to be able to live on near a river or on the ocean. That would be my dream retirement home.
Interesting.
Very much.
I think I can do river. Mm-hmm. Ocean's a little extra.
Okay.
It's always so cold and foggy and sand. There's sand everywhere. So much. I fucking hate sand,
you're a gamer. You're indoors most of the time. But then you just get to be like go outside and like in your jacket and sweats and just be like and just listen to the ocean, smell the salty air for like 5 minutes. Then go inside.
Then go queue again.
And then look at it from your window and be like, oh, that's nice. And then play Dota.
Could they not hook you up with a flight directly to Portland? That feels bad-mannered of them.
And yeah, like they could have, but they... I don't remember what it was. It was slight miscommunication. It was probably on my fault. Plus, then I was able to travel with my girlfriend. I also was getting close to platinum, which I didn't get platinum this year, which really makes me sad for Delta.
For Delta?
So, yeah.
How does that work? So like next year you have gold all year? Or
next year I'll have gold unless I can until I build up platinum for that year.
When you fly to all these events, are you booking them yourself, or do you give someone your frequent flyer number? Like, can you retroactively put
sometimes
that in?
I give it the frequent flyer, but most of the time you just go to the airport and you can only use a frequent flyer for yourself.
Okay.
You can never use it on somebody else, right? So a tournament organizer can never put it on when they buy my flight. They can never use it on me.
Yeah.
So I get to go there when I check in for my flight. I just put it in, or when I check in online. So the problem is this year I wasn't able to get enough Delta flights. So because they're expensive, and tournament organizers don't like doing flights until 2 weeks beforehand. Or in this case, when does Dream League start?
January.
2 weeks beforehand.
January.
Yeah, Dream League. 2 weeks. Possibly less at this point.
It might be less. I still don't know. I might be there. I'm going to be in Europe, but I'm not going to be there, I don't think.
Oh, that's right.
I'm still trying to figure that out. What the fuck? Yeah, it's in the middle of January.
Yeah, it's like January.
Wikipedia is failing right now, and it's not Wikipedia. It's definitely my fault.
January 18th to like something, but it's January 3rd, and I do not have flights yet.
That seems also silly to me from like a just like a production standpoint. Like,
and then when a tournament organizer comes back to you, Dream League hasn't done this because again we haven't booked the flights, but in general this has happened multiple times where they're booking the flight like 2 weeks beforehand, and they're like, here's a flight for you, and I'm like, that flight looks like garbage. I go look up the flight myself. Go through the airline that I want to be able to go through, or at least a partner. And I find a pretty reasonable flight, and they're like, that's too expensive. And I'm just like, well, if money was an option, you should have booked this 2 months ago when you said, hey, would you like to work our event? Then the flights would be very cheap.
I couldn't imagine the frustration of getting of being told like, here's your flight now, and it's like, wait a second, I'm departing at 5 a.m.
Dude, I want to choke some of these tournament organizers when they tell me that a flight is too expensive, but they're booking it at the most expensive time, and it happens every single time. Like, are they just not aware of it by now?
It has to.
They're burning so much money, and yet they constantly tell me they don't have enough money. I'm so mad just thinking about it.
I'm trying to play devil's advocate for the tournament organizer and figure out
you can't play devil's advocate for this. You've hired me. Sometimes I have a contract already. Like, why wouldn't you just do the flights earlier?
Is it like
it's cheaper that way.
Could it be like a liquid cash thing? They're like, oh man, the cards are maxed out. We got to clear some headroom before we can.
I mean, that's another topic. That's not my fault. Whatever that is, that's not me. So,
dude,
it makes me so mad.
Yeah,
travel is the worst part of my job, and it could just be made like a lot better if I could just get the airlines that I like, and then I'm also likely to be upgraded since I'm,
Yeah.
Like if I get a Delta flight, I'm really happy because like shit with Platinum, who knows? Maybe I get business class. At least I'm going to get economy comfort. That's going to make my life a lot better.
You're going to board earlier.
It's just. I mean, no. I always
board. Lounge.
I always board last. I never go into the lounge. But seriously,
you can even do the military
leg room,
thing, right?
Just does a lot for me. I don't have the.
Whatever the thing is.
Yeah, I don't have my military card. I lost that a long time ago and never told anybody. Don't tell the military. You're supposed to report that, and I never did. Don't.
That's why the Reddit rule exists.
Don't tell them.
For the record.
Yeah, don't put that on Reddit. They're going to send me to Iran or some shit, man.
God, it is. I'm not going to talk about that, but I really, I thought about you because I looked up the draft age, and then I immediately thought, I can never do what Cap did. And then I went back to.
Oh, yeah. Didn't you tweet like only one more year or something like that?
No, my birthday is January 16th.
Okay.
Which is in less than 2 weeks, and I'll be turning 27.
Happy birthday. I won't be here.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. I'm not happy that I'm officially going to be in my late 20s.
Okay.
That's like bothering me a little bit. It shouldn't. It's a very vanity thing.
Hello, I'm 29, going to be 30 this year, so I don't know what you were complaining about.
In your 30s. That's
I'm going to be in my 30s.
So there's the whole vanity thing. I like late 20s. That sounds rough. But I just want to know what age I can still be drafted by. And the draft goes to 26. So in 13, if we start a world war in less than 13 days of time of recording, they can still pull my card.
Well, fortunately, yeah, I'm good. Fortunately, I signed a 8-year contract. All military contracts are not all. The standard military contract is 8 years. What you hear about is 4 and 6. 4 for active duty and 6 for reserve. But technically, the military still has you for a full 8 where they can recall you. You're in the inactive reserve, basically. You're a civilian, but you can be called up. So those people would be called up before the draft actually comes into play.
Yeah, that makes sense. They've had training.
So fortunately, I'm not in that. But I think just by being former military makes me more likely to be called up before regular people. I don't know.
Maybe if they need.
I don't want to know, honestly.
Nothing's gonna happen, right? Everything's fine. The world's great. Fine. Dota will solve all our problems. But people just play more games. Everyone just played more games, they'd be happier, right? How was Singapore that wasn't the whole podcasting?
Ooh, I've got a story about Singapore.
Does it or does it not involve your penis?
No, it doesn't involve my penis this time. But it does involve me being naked.
Okay. Well, I feel like potato.
We got to make sure I always have the sexual allure part of the podcast, where I'm smashing my dick or, in this case, threatening to storm the lobby naked.
Go on. I can't. I'm trying to think of a scenario where that might happen, and I'm really coming up blank.
Okay. So here's what happened. And I am. Before I tell the story, I am both very mad and I'm still mad about it, and I'm still feel really bad about it at the same time.
Okay.
So my clothes, I put in dry cleaning. We had a laundry. Some tournaments do this where they will cover your laundry a certain number of items or whatever. And I think it said it did say on there no dry cleaning, but I totally missed that. And I put in my laundry and I put in for dry cleaning. I needed to get shirts pressed and stuff. And my clothes got returned to me a night before. It was like the third or fourth day of the tournament. That night, it gets returned to me. I get my clothes. I hang them up in the dresser. I go to bed. I wake up in the morning. I go to the gym. I come back. I shower. And I open my closet. My clothes aren't there anymore. The clothes that I'm going to wear for the rest of the event aren't there anymore. And then I notice a note was left on the door. And it says, like you need to pay your bill before you get your clothes. So that is already a procedure. If you're not aware of like how hotels work, that is not a procedure that I've ever seen before. Not the paying before you get your clothes. That sometimes does happen for sure. But somebody giving me my clothes and then taking them away.
That means someone went into your room.
Yeah, somebody went into my room, grabbed my clothes and took them away. And that doesn't bother me so much. It slightly does, just because it's a little weird. But what bothers me is I have a very limited amount of time. I'm trying to get ready.
You have to work.
For work, right? And I'm still there for another like 4 days, right? Okay. So they have me like I'm not going anywhere. And so I call down there and I say like, hey, there must have been some misunderstanding. My clothes got delivered last night and I'm in a hurry. I need to go to work. I need my clothes redelivered. It says I need to pay. I will pay. I thought the company was paying, but I have no problem paying. It's like $50. I don't really care that much.
You need to get to work.
But I just need my clothes. They're like, okay, I understand, sir. Let me call housekeeping or whatever. So I continue getting ready as much as I can without clothes.
The beard was very well maintained.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I do my own makeup, so I'm, like, putting on my makeup and stuff, at least. And about 5 minutes later, they call me back, and they say, sir, I'm sorry, the company's, they don't actually cover, like, dry cleaning or whatever, Yeah, that's not important. It doesn't cover. Okay, what I was going to say is I did have a hard time understanding her.
Oh, that's totally fair. I'm pretty bad with accents.
So I had a little bit of a hard time understanding her, but she was basically telling me that the company wasn't covered dry cleaning. I was like, oh, I was like, no, that's no problem. I will pay. I have no problem paying, but please, I need you guys to deliver the clothes before I come downstairs. I have nothing to wear. I will pay as soon as I get my clothes. Like, I just need to actually wear them first before I go downstairs. And they're like, okay, sir, I understand. Hang up the phone, go back to getting ready, and I'm soon running out of things to do to get ready. And another 5 minutes go past, and I get a call again. And she's telling me that I need to pay in order to get my clothes. And I'm like, okay. We kind of already gone over this. I'm like losing my patience a little bit. I'm like, look, we've already gone over this. I will pay. Like, I totally understand. This is just a miscommunication. I'm not going anywhere. I have to go to work though. I have to go to work. I'm here for work. I need my clothes for that. I said, you need to deliver them to me. I will pay. I promise I will pay. Like, I'm not going anywhere. You have me for another 4 days. And she says, sir, if you come down to the lobby, housekeeping will deliver it to the desk, your clothes, when you come to pay. And I'm just like, and finally I start losing it. Okay. And I'm just like, no, like, you don't understand. Like, I need the clothes. I'm naked. I need clothes to wear downstairs. Like, please, for the love of God, just give me my clothes.
There are no clothes in my room.
Technically, there are clothes, okay? There's like sweaty, dirty clothes that I honestly just don't want to put on.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, I'm totally being selfish. I'm being a little bit of an asshole here, but like, this situation is already kind of messed up. The fact that they gave me the clothes, they went into my room, took the clothes back. There's like, I understand, like, some hotels like definitely require you to pay before you actually get your laundry. I understand that, but like, it's a very nice hotel. I'm with a large company that's there. Like, everything that is kind of reasonable says that, like, I'm not a flight risk here, guys.
I don't know like they went into your room. That's the one that gets me now.
Okay, yeah, that did bother me. So if I'm just like, at this point, I'm just gonna make a stand. I'm just gonna be like, I even messaged them. I messaged the WhatsApp group and I say, hey guys, I might be late because I might go downstairs naked. Just letting you know. That's what I wrote in the WhatsApp group because I was losing my mind at that point in time. So I hang up the phone. She says like, okay, I understand. And she's like, housekeeping will deliver your clothes. Guess what happens 5 minutes later?
Did you get another phone call?
I got another phone call. Okay. 5 minutes. It's been 20 minutes since we had this original conversation. I'm running like quite late. Now I'm actually cutting it close. I gave myself a decent window, but like now it's beginning to be a problem. Okay. I'm legitimately going to be late and I don't like being late to these things. It's my job. I have like an expectation of professionalism that is like, I'm going to be in the lobby at X amount of time and I don't like making people wait. And, I'm a little bit like, I put a lot of emphasis on this because I have a timeliness problem in general. Mm-hmm. And so I'm trying to correct that. And so especially at my job, I always try and make sure I'm there on time. And so now I'm really mad. And they get that last phone call, that fourth phone call, and I just lost it. I only remember half the conversation, but I remember.
Did you say the same thing again?
She said the same thing, that, sir, you need to pay for your laundry before we deliver you. And I lost it. I said something about like, God damn it, you can't hold my clothes hostage. This isn't a hostage situation. It's not a give me the money, I'll give you the clothes. God damn it, you're supposed to give me my goddamn clothes. For so help me, for the love of God, I will come down there naked. I will come down to the front desk, buried in my all God fucking naked glory, and I will pay for the clothes. Don't make me do it. I swear. I was like, I swear on my mother's life, I'm on my hands and knees. I'm right now, and I went on my hands and knees because I'm very, like, when I lose it, I really lose it. I'm there on my hands and knees on this desk, pulling the phone down to me, and I'm like, I'm on my hands and knees praying before God, swearing to him that I will, on my mother's life, I will pay for those clothes at 9:30. I'm like, we were supposed to leave at like 8:45 or something like that. This is a random number. And I said, I will pay for these clothes at 8:44 a.m. on this day. But first, you just have to deliver my clothes or else I will come down there naked. I remember part of the reason. Oh, it's coming back to me now. Part of the reason I lost it so badly, I was losing it for sure.
Reliving trauma.
But I really lost it. I said the hostage crisis line when she asked me what time I got off work.
What does that even mean?
Like she wants to know exactly what time I get off work, so she knows exactly when I'll pay. So if I say 6 p.m. and 6:30 rolls around, she calls the cops to chase me down at the airport. like none of this makes sense to me, and I'm just like, why, God, why? And so I just fucking lose it, man. I don't think I've ever lost it with anybody in. Like, I try and be really respectful to, like, people in service industries. I totally get you have to deal with a lot of assholes. So I totally get that. But on that day, I was the asshole. And I'm still mad about it because it wasn't right. If you've been to hotels frequently and, like, these sort of things, like, this just wasn't an okay situation. And so the conclusion of that is I got my clothes finally. I went downstairs because my mother's life was on the line, so I had to go downstairs and pay before I got on the shuttle. And I paid, and I had just enough time to ask them. I have to go to work, but I have a problem. I need to talk to a manager. And they said, come back. The manager, there's a manager on duty all the time. So I go to work. I come back. And this is how I know it really stuck with me. All day you've been fuming about it. It really stuck with me because most of the time I just let these things slide. I honestly do. I just like stuff like this. Like give me 2 minutes, and it's out of my mind. But I went back to the hotel. I didn't think about it all day. I didn't stew about it. But when I got back to the hotel, I had that cold resolve of like, this wasn't okay, and I'm going to talk to a manager about it. I'm going to take the extra time that like I don't want to talk to a manager about this because this was legitimately wrong, and it made me really mad. So it was a combination of like, this is wrong and this needs to be fixed, but also I'm really like it made me really mad, and somebody needs to.
Did talking to the manager help?
And it did.
Did you get free dry cleaning?
This is the part that I feel really bad about. I think I got someone fired.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel really shitty about that still.
Oh.
It still really bothers me.
You don't know that for sure?
Okay. Okay. The manager came up to my room for whatever. Okay, so first I went downstairs to talk to the manager, and for whatever reason, he seemed to think that I had missing laundry. He didn't listen to my full story. He listened to the first half and just thought I was missing laundry. So he called like the head of housekeeping, and I was like, no, I had to explain, no, I have my clothes, but like he didn't let me finish. I had like a service problem. And so him and the head of housekeeping both come up to my room. I was going to go downstairs and talk to him. We just met past each other in the hallway. And so we talked there, and I explained, the entire situation, and they both started laughing. They're like, that's messed up. That is not something that we do here. And I was like, okay. I was like, honestly, that was the biggest thing. It was just, it bothered me that you guys did something like that. Like that you went into my room and like took back the clothes. That was the biggest thing that I felt was wrong, And so I was like, like that was the biggest thing. I just wanted to make sure there was like some sort of like policy change, basically. But now that I know that like that's not your guys' policy, now that I understand that's not the policy there, then it's all good. I just wanted to make sure that policy wasn't in place. And he was like, he said something about like, well, I guess I have to find out who I'm going to fire. As like kind of a joke, but also not. And I had this like pit in my stomach of like, oh no.
Maybe it was the person who came in your room, not the lady on the phone.
I don't know. So I might have got somebody fired, and I feel really bad about that.
So someone's living on the streets right now in Singapore because of your lie?
I legitimately complained to the manager specifically. That cold resolve that I had was about something being wrong. I wanted a policy changed. I wasn't calling for somebody to get fired. I never said anything about that.
It's not the person, it's the situation, right? Dude.
And of course he tells me that's not their policy. So then like...
He good copped you.
Yeah.
He good copped you.
So yeah, that's one of my stories.
Man, that's... I'm hung up thinking about... that WhatsApp group and you saying that, and then like Sheever eating breakfast and pulls her phone out of her pocket and be like, oh, I got a new message from Cap. Did you guys am I reading this right? Is he gonna come out here naked? What the?
Yeah.
And then Rich responding like, okay, dude, like
see you there.
See you there. Take my clothes off too. Like
yeah, solidarity or something. Yeah, I don't know. So
well, hopefully that was the worst part of Singapore.
So this is the second time that I've confessed. So I confessed that obviously in the talent bus that morning before the whole firing part. I told them what had happened because I wanted feedback and like, hey, this wasn't okay, right? Like, I'm not going crazy, right? Like, I wanted to make sure I was in the right before I actually complained to the manager.
Absolutely.
About it, right? And they all said, like, yeah, that's totally wrong. They shouldn't have done that. And so I just took the resolve. I was like, okay, I'm going to talk to the manager. Now someone's homeless.
Yeah, someone's homeless in Singapore. They're really sad because someone's laundry got messed up. Some big Hollywood celebrities' laundry got fucked up, and now they can't pay rent.
Yeah, it's like so stupid, you know. Like to be fair, Singapore is a very nice place. It is not like a third world country. It's very nice. It is.
I know. I want to go.
It is. I'll highly recommend. I love Singapore so much. So, but I'm like like when I say first world country, I don't mean Singapore is not first world. But it's just like
keep talking while I look at the list of first world.
I didn't need to be that guy. God. So yeah. So yes, I was very mad, as you can see, recalling this story, and now I feel very bad about it. And that's to make sure every single time I think about this.
You're a little red in your face too, like you're feeling a little something. Just
yeah.
Man, hopefully that was the worst part about Singapore. Hopefully everything else was great.
Everything else was great. Love the event. The fans there are awesome. I love going to Southeast Asia. Only for the fans. Travel's terrible, but the fans
like 19
are awesome.
Hours or something dumb like that, right?
Yeah, it's usually anywhere from like 20 to 25 hours.
I was watching one of the bits you were doing that you pre-filmed.
Oh yeah,
and I was watching it talking to Tsunami, like on a Discord or something.
Oh, okay.
We're both watching live, and I said, you had a toilet brush with fake shit on it. And I said, like, if I wrote this, I would be forcing Cap to eat this fake poop.
Yes.
Fully expecting that it wasn't going to happen.
Yes.
And then when it did happen, I was like so proud.
Yes.
That you did that.
Oh yeah. No. We went in. They actually cut some of that footage. Okay. So our idea, Mally and I's idea, I think we both had this idea because I definitely have it strongly in my head of what I wanted to be able to see. I do that little bit of just like taking a little bit off the toilet brush. It's consumable. Yeah. And I wanted a moment where I turn to the camera and then I really just go in and just, and they have a closer and closer shot on my face as I'm eating.
Fade the color out a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, you're beautiful. Yeah. I didn't even think about that a little bit. You got it.
I've done these things alive.
Okay.
Very
and that was my idea. And we did that bit. And there is some lost footage out there of just me going in on that toilet brush and really just like it's Nutella, by the way. This fake shit, the Nutella's just all over my mouth. I just really get it all over there, man. And oh god, that would have been so funny. And it would have been like a really funny GIF and all those sorts of things. Like, I really want that footage.
It's
really
somewhere.
bad.
It's in some PGL editors.
I made Molly promise to me when they said they were going to cut it. I was like, I need that. I need that footage. So thank you for reminding me. I need to contact him because I want to see that. I thought it would be hilarious.
If you want, or if anyone listening.
Oh, sorry. Real quickly, the best part of that bit was another bit that I thought of when we go into the toilet. When we go into the bathroom to this, we were supposed to have like the pre-meeting. That was the last part we filmed. I was like, can we do this in the bathroom? And I used that toilet brush on the toilet. So that way we really had the continuity of that. And that sells it so much more because obviously like when you're watching it, you see me put the toilet brush in scrubbing and scrubbing and scrubbing. And then later on licking it. I was like, oh, that would be so perfect.
Pro production tip for anyone who needs to make fake shit. I have a lot of experience with this. My favorite recipe is you get chocolate pudding, you leave it out for about a day, so a little bit of it's like a little less watery, and then you mix it with coffee grounds.
Okay.
That's going to get you a very camera realistic looking shit.
See, we just came up with we actually had we had the little Nutella things with breadsticks just happening to be on the table, and I was
use whatever you have.
I was like, hell yeah, that's going to be perfect for some shit.
Use whatever you have. But if you're out there looking for a good poop recipe,
that is great.
That's
I know.
Chocolate pudding and coffee grounds. Similarly, slime really hard to make. You want to use some vanilla pudding. It really helps a lot. Pudding is great on
pudding. That's what I'm learning. Apparently, it's pudding all day.
Yeah, Slacks is going to be traveling to events now with more pudding to make sure that you can do that stuff with. Singapore was the first thing that I watched in a minute, probably really seriously since TI. That I'm like, okay, I guess these teams are here. Time to see what's going on. So I was pretty happy watching the event. I still have.
Did you like the content that came out of it?
I have.
Be honest.
It was all too long.
Okay. This is Kyle first time doing content creation. So I don't think he minds criticism because I don't think he really got a whole lot of feedback in the first place.
I think most of those pieces would have been better if they were all universally 20% shorter.
Okay. And that makes sense. I think that's a fairly common thing for people who just do
I make that mistake all the time. All the time. Is making stuff too long, so I feel like I'm a little bit hypersensitive to it too.
Yeah. Our piece was long. I remember that. We had too much stuff.
Yeah, and sometimes you have a lot of good ideas, and you're like, well, I want to do all the good ideas.
Yeah.
But sometimes you got to throw the baby out a little bit. Yeah. And it helps in the end.
It's part of the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah, I realized that was the wrong analogy midway through. So I tried to pivot. You really weren't helping. You're just bringing it back.
This is some weird, King Solomon cutting the baby in half and then throwing half out.
I promise I speak English and I know what I'm talking about. Man, it's I thought some of them were. I liked. I would have been interested to see who else could have done the. Well, most of them looked short. The game with the pie. I wish I could have seen all the footage because I feel like it wasn't like there was ideas I didn't like. I feel like there was editing that I wasn't a fan of.
Yeah.
So
that was something that honestly that's always a struggle with because we have content creators that come in that are talent, but the editors that they're working with isn't people that they work with regularly. So
that's probably
every single event's like a tug of war. It seems like between the content creator and the editors and two different visions, and they don't know each other. So it's weird.
To talk Hollywood for a second, it really takes a lot of time. There's a reason why you see big directors who work with the same editors over and over again because it's really. a rapport that you get with someone. And I've in the past had to work with just like, here's an editor I've never seen, I have nothing about, but I have to like give them something and tell them how to cut it. And you know, it doesn't always go as well because, you know, especially if you don't want to be like mean to someone. It's easier if you're like a real asshole to be like, no, you're doing it wrong, don't do that. But if you want to like kind of be a little bit more collaborative, sometimes it's really hard to just take a piece with someone you don't know and be like, okay, how do we, because you know that all those things you shot, you know, I don't know how much people know about video production, but they're much longer than the pieces you see at the end. Like there's so much that gets cut away that the editor's so important. So I imagine just like taking it to a random, you know, ESL or PGL or what have you editor and be like, hey, can you take this thing I made and make it a thing? Like, do all the PGL editors even like speak good English? Like there could even be that too, right? Yeah. So criticism's bad. Please don't hate me.
But yeah, I think that was it was a great event. I don't remember anything of the tournament, to be honest.
I know.
I just remember the content that we made. It was very busy. It was a busy event. I worked every single series.
Every time I tuned in, dude, I'm like, are they giving you a break? I almost felt defensive. I'm like, are they giving him a break like on your mom or something? Like, I feel like he needs a break. Where's his 15?
Let me just say, I like Brian a lot. I really like BSJ. But there was like, I just had to laugh where he was like, one day he's like, am I reading the schedule right? Like, I think I'm working every series today or something like that. I'm just like, dog, I've been working every series for the entire event. The only thing, obviously the group stage, they did some weird thing where we only had panel first and last. So obviously there's this middle ground where we didn't do a whole lot, but you're still working, like you're still there and you still have to like pay attention.
Even when you're not
it's
on camera, you're watching the games so that you don't sound dumb when you are on camera in, you know, an hour or 2 hours or tomorrow. So it's I guess there isn't really a lot of breaks, even though the in-between is kind of more leisurely than being on camera, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck you do.
We would just sit in the green room and watch the games and kind of bullshit. Oh, we did get to cast the middle series of the day, me and Trent. It was very nice of them. They worked with us. That was not the original idea, but both Toby, the casting pairs, Toby and BSJ, and Owen and Fogg were both nice enough to give us a series each day for the groups. And then we got to cast, I think, 2 playoff days as well. So that was really nice of the tournament organizers as well as the casters to like kind of give up a little bit so Trent and I could get some time casting.
Oh, hell yeah.
That was nice.
The thing that I remember about the event, because I feel at least semi-obligated to talk just the slightest bit about Dota on the show, just the absolute slide. Like you have to like slide a nugget in there so people know that we're serious, right? I think Vici went through the whole lower bracket.
Yes,
and won.
Did. Yes,
that's exciting.
Yes.
And then EG looked really rad until
until the grand finals.
In the grand finals,
they got 3-0'd or something.
Also,
like 3 20-minute games.
Man, and then those New Jerseys look bad. I know that's a hot take. I know that not a lot of people have talked about these jerseys.
Yeah.
But man, Vici just looked so much cleaner than that EG logo did.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's that's the TLDR from the tournament, right? As a viewer who still hasn't played enough games of Dota to have my own very firm grasp of all of the neutral items, it feels like it went through weird ebbs and flows of them being like predominantly talked about during casts, which was interesting because it's like I'm learning through listening to y'all talk about it, but also I'm confused and like trying to take a lecture in while watching.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they were almost completely forgotten about, which most of the time was fitting of the game.
Yeah.
So watching Singapore made me realize that I still need to be playing more because I don't like, as a viewer, having this lapse in my knowledge. It feels like it's harder, not harder to follow is the wrong way to put it, because it's not, but it feels like I'm not there, like I'm missing something.
Yeah.
So I'm telling myself that I gotta like play. I need to like set Dota goals for myself.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna have like a New Year's resolution, but I don't want to be like a fraud who's doing a Dota podcast who has only played like 10 games in the last month.
You're also part of the problem right now.
I know,
declining player numbers. Joey, you're one of the very many people who are not playing Dota 2 anymore. You got to get on that.
You're sounding facetious in the sense that maybe you don't think it's a problem.
I don't care one way or another. I think Reddit is not wrong about some of the stuff that they say.
But the sky isn't falling.
Yeah, I mean, like there's those two extreme points that like Valve is screwing up everything and Dota would be a much bigger game if only Valve was just Riot or Blizzard and they marketed the hell out of Dota and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then there's the other side of things that's like Valve is totally blameless because, you know, Dota's 10 years old and what the hell are you expecting? The real answer is probably somewhere in the middle. Valve is definitely at fault for the new player experience. That is the one thing that I will very publicly always say is that is what Valve has screwed up, is that they've never put enough resources into the new player experience because the numbers are always going, like people are going, there's going to be a lot of ebb and flow and people are just going to grow old and not have time for Dota. You need new players to be able to fit that in. And if you want to get new players into Dota, you have to have a good new player experience somehow because it's an incredibly hard game to get into. So you have to make that a little bit easier. And Valve forsook that for so long that I don't think that it's recoverable. I don't know how much of a difference it would make though. Like, I don't know if we would have an extra million people playing Dota regularly if we just had like a really good tutorial that really worked through everything. Maybe it wouldn't actually do anything because again, Dota's like it's an outdated genre and it's also just an old game. And
it feels to me like we might be complaining about something that needed to change, 5 to 10 years ago. Yes, and now we're like upset about it in retrospect.
Yes. Absolutely.
Instead of being like, well, what do you want to do today? It's almost like I think of it. I probably shouldn't say this because it might turn some people off, but it's I like it in my brain. I almost like link it to climate change a little bit. It's like, oh shit, we already did all this stuff. I guess we should try and do something now. That's kind of how it feels like with Dota. Like we've already kind of gotten rid of so much. It's
unlike climate change, I will say I'm not sure. Like from a business perspective, I don't know if Valve really should put a whole lot of resources into the new player experience this late into the game. They made the mistake. They should have done it earlier. People seem to have this idea that only you market the game and put in the new player experience right now, then like things would get better. And I just am not convinced that they would. I
don't think so either. I think it would help. I think advertising always helps. Like I think that there's just people who don't know about the game in general. The biggest thing, and which I can tell, I'm pulling up actually like our YouTube statistics, is that at least people who were watching us on YouTube, 60, close to 70% are over the age of 25.
Yeah.
So to me,
I mean, just the. Wait, does YouTube not count people below the age of 18?
It does. I think I or it might not. I'm not 100% sure how that works.
Because according to that, we have literally 0 viewers, 13 to 17.
I'm gonna do some research on that. I'm not sure what the answer is.
Because it might be they have to be 18 to watch the video or something. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. But even if they were 18, there's 18 to 24, which is 30%, and then 70% is over 25, and that's a weird sample that's tangentially related to Dota. But if you're gonna look at people who care enough to like listen to or click through the video on YouTube or like download the podcast somewhere, the age demo of Dota is just getting older.
Yes.
Which is
again, we are the boomers and the Zoomers are playing Fortnite right now. There's a reason why, all the big streamers are playing Fortnite because that's what the young crowd is watching and that's what, they're playing.
It's not going to suddenly come back to Dota. It's not like
nobody's going to be like, oh, you've never played a MOBA? Let's play one of those. Holy crap, Jimmy.
Yeah, so
let's drop on the fountain.
We're old.
Where are we dropping, bros?
We're old people. That's what it comes down to. Is that we're all aged.
Eating that Tidehunter out of here.
There's streams where people definitely say that. There's pub games where people say that. Yeah, it's yeet. God, sound like Pokemon. Dude, I think something that I should have done at the top as we wrap up is that.
Wrap up. Oh no.
Wrap up. Oh, do you want to say, dude? It's I'm looking at the TRT. It's an hour 15.
Oh Jesus. Dude, I've got like 2 more stories to go through. Should I save them for another time?
Do you want to save them?
I mean, I don't know if we're not going to record another one before I leave. Like the next one we're going to do is me and We Play, right?
Well, I might just edit this. I'll record one with like that and these questions that we got.
Oh,
and we can either release.
You just want to do 2 episodes now?
I do.
Okay, cool.
I must not have communicated that clearly. So
No.
Because I think even if we don't use it during the We Play, I need one to put out while I'm gone.
Right. Okay.
So if it's not like now, it would maybe be like end of January.
Yeah. Okay.
Reclap.
We're back.
What? Oh, did we ever leave? I'm sorry. Editing's weird. 1, 2, something, whatever. So before, God damn it. I think I should have done this at the top. I keep on saying that I'm gonna like try and do some housekeeping at the top because I think people responded positively, but other people, you see that other people were mad about me being in the top of the video.
I did vaguely see that.
You did vaguely see that,
yeah.
Dude. Fuck those people. I don't give a fuck what they think.
I always feel bad when I see that sort of thing, and I'm just like. I always feel like I should do something, but I'm not sure what to do, sort of thing. And I'm just like, it's like the Curb Your Enthusiasm meme, you know, he's like sitting there, like looking to himself, like, but yeah, I could. Like that's just me the entire time. Like,
not worth it. Not worth it. That's good. That's good feedback. It was weird that I did insert myself at the top of the video when people just want to listen to Arteezy. If we have X amount of listeners, those episodes had X amount times, like, I don't know, 7. So those other people didn't care about that, and that's totally fine. Now I'm doing this weird like defensive complaining thing. I think there's good feedback there, but now I'm recoiling, and I didn't do the housekeeping stuff at the top because I was scared about it when I shouldn't be. It's our show, goddamn. We do whatever the fuck we want.
Yes.
Fuck those people and your feedback. Don't give us any of that. That's not useful. They're probably like, you know that feedback you gave Kyle? You can probably cut 20% of the episode out too, huh? Yeah, it goes both ways. I'm gonna stop talking now. Anywho, the housekeeping stuff I was talking about, we were giving away arcanas.
Yes.
Which is another thing I'm self-conscious about saying right or wrong. Arcana. Sure, whatever. I think I say Aegis, and I just say Ags instead of Agonyms. I don't know which one's right still.
It's all fine. You're
Great,
all fine.
thank you.
Aegis, Agonyms, Ags, those are all good.
Aegis. That's the one I like. We were giving away some of the new ogre magi. Now I'm just in my head.
You could not be a commentator, Joey. Jesus.
But could I be an actor? Because I was joking. I was clearly joking. That was a yes, and I know what I'm.
Your stream of consciousness is wild. It just jumps a lot.
Yeah, it really does. I don't think I can be a commentator because I think I stutter a little too much. That's the biggest impotence that I think I have, which is funny that somehow we're doing a podcast because really not that different and still stuttering. I'm sure you've noticed. If you haven't, you will now. So I'm sorry. We were giving away the Ogre Magi Arcanas because they came out, and I'm like, oh, this is great. We got so many iTunes reviews because it turns out people wanted free stuff.
Yeah.
So the bribing worked. I know you saw those tweets. I know people were like, yeah, which was great for our viewership numbers also, so we should just keep doing it. But I did say I was going to give away 2 more from
I heard that.
The last podcast, which I still haven't cleared with the bosses. I think I'm just going to like expense them and hope no one asks questions or that they're not listening. This is a conversation we should have in private.
Yeah, I'm sure they don't listen to the podcast that they're paying for.
They probably should. I'm very sorry. I don't know why you trust me to do any of this. I have 2 I have 2 more reviews that we're gonna shout out to people. The first one is Arctic Owl, who is from Australia.
Nice.
And I don't know if you know, we have like a substantial group of people from Australia who listen.
Yeah, shout out to the Aussies.
Shout out to the Aussies. If you look at the traffic stats on the podcast, it's United States and number 2, Australia. So thank you. And I'm sorry, and I hope you're not on fire. Arteezy goes, fun times with adequate chat. Great to listen to while studying. And Leaf's laugh is slowly growing on me. That's how I get you. Just
It's like a fungus.
Put a foot in the door and suddenly you like it. Also, being a big Clockwork fan, I enjoy the superb and fitting analysis of the Ags component. Much love from the land of 30-minute queues.
Nice. Again, it's the Aussies, man. They hit me up all the time with their long queues.
A few times.
Yeah.
You want to read this one? The second one is Jenkins JP. You both need to message me on Twitter, please. Thank you.
Jenkins, JP, and Arctic Owl, right?
Yeah, Jenkins, JP, and Arctic Owl. This is what Jenkins said.
There's not much Dota podcast going around, but this is one of it.
That's a resounding review. We're one of them.
You have the insights of the game with Leaf and Cap, and they're having fun delivering it. It's pretty good that they're bringing in. They're bringing in players as guests as well. Weekly tune on the way to work.
I'm glad you have a job. Thank you for writing the review.
Just wait till we start our Patreon, then that work money is going to come in handy.
Oh man,
we're not starting a Patreon.
We're not. But the Patreon, I think it's really close to home to me. It's a real thing. Support people who makes content you like, because that's the world we're living in.
I support Podcast 6 is Patreon. You should check it out.
Position 6.
That. I pay for it. I can call it whatever the hell I want, Joey.
Yeah, fuck you, Dan.
Position 6. Dan, check out his Patreon. He does really great work.
Come to LA for the major, Dan. I could have told you that privately. Not everyone had to hear that either. But yeah.
Test to see if he listens.
Yeah, I know he does. He's like,
nice.
Yeah, I know he does. Anywho, thank you guys for all the reviews. If you continue to write them, we're going to continue to read them on the show. The Apple ones genuinely do help us. So if you have the time, make an Apple account, steal your mom's, borrow your girlfriend's. If you have someone else who you live with, who you can also steal their phone and write a review on, I wouldn't be mad about it. It would be helpful. If you were listening to us on the podcast, you can watch us on YouTube. We got some good. Arteezy really pulled up the YouTube numbers, so YouTube's been suggesting us to more people. Yeah. So we're starting to play the algorithm. I really owe Arteezy a lot. Thank you, and Blitz. If you want to watch us, Saipo Podcast on YouTube. If you want to listen to us, Saipo Podcast on whatever a podcast player you want.
Yeah, if you watched on YouTube. Even if you continue watching on YouTube, it would be helpful if you subscribed to the podcast.
Oh yeah, that's a good thing too.
Just it doesn't hurt you in any way. It's totally free. Just
you're supposed to subscribe and click the bell. Now we're YouTubers.
Yes. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and subscribe to the podcast just to help support us. Thank you.
Or tell your Dota friends about it. Be like, man, Did you hear that? Did you hear the episode that they did with Arteezy? I really liked that Joey wasn't there, and wow, Arteezy really likes Thompson. That's a great conversation to have while you're waiting for your 30-minute queues in Australia.
Yeah.
On that note, thank you. We're gonna take off and not record another episode after this. I don't want to break the magic. That would be
one and done.
That'd be rude. These happen one at a time. We're gonna be wearing the same clothes.
I'll wear the same clothes for the next podcast, Joey.
Know that it's not.
It feels like our lucky outfits.
It does, right?
For a good show. So,
thank you everyone for listening. You're all great. Thank you. Bye bye.